So, are we all good? And I hope we are. I won't be able to hear you, but I do hope that you will stay tuned to every second of this video. So, welcome. This is your course on Math 10, which will focus on mathematics of investment. I will be your teacher, and I hope that you won't get tired seeing this face. Yeah, but it won't really show all the time in throughout the videos. Okay, so the breakdown of our Math 10 goes like this. For preliminaries, we will be discussing simple interest and discount. For midterms, it's going to be all about compound interest. And for finals, we will talk about annuities. So, okay, our objective throughout the Math 10 is for you to acquire sound concepts and skills in determining or computing simple interest and simple discount, compound interest, and of course, annuities. Because if you ever become a teacher, actually, siguro kahit hindi teacher, you will be exposed to instances where you need to be aware of how these things work. Okay? So let's get started. All right, so here's our preliminaries, simple interest and discount. Zyrene loans Francis 500 pesos and Francis agrees to pay 80 pesos interest. So how much will Francis pay in total? So the answer here, of course, is 580. And the reason behind that is simply, we just added 580. But why do we have an 80? Why did Francis agree to pay an additional 80 pesos? Okay, so this is because of the concept of interest. Okay, the concept of interest, or interest rather, is added to the principal of a loan to compensate the lender for the temporary use of the lender's money. Of course, kung ikaw din naman yung magpapautang and you're gonna lend money or you're gonna let your money be borrowed, and that money or the value of that money is too big to be ignored, of course, a compensation should be added when that money is returned to you. And that term for that compensation is called the interest. So in this case, basta pumayag na lang si Francis na pautangin mo akong 500 pesos, dadagdagan ko ng 80 pesos as compensation. Or simply, pautangin mo akong 500 pesos, I will give back 580 pesos with 80 pesos as your interest. Okay? And now we have the next question. So Aldwin loans Marge a total of 5,500 for a year at 8.75% simple interest. Okay? So how much will Marge pay? So in this case, binigyan na lang tayo ng rate. Alright, so the answer is 5,981.25 pesos. What's the reason for that? Okay, simple interest as a percent. Hindi na tayo binigyan ng actual money count or actual value for the interest. For this part, we are now going to compute the interest, okay? So the simple interest as a percent, you just need to remember that you need to convert the percents to decimals by moving the decimal point. Of course, as math majors, you are already aware how to do this, all right? And if necessary, you have to convert mixed numbers to decimal rates by dividing the fractional part. When is this possible, or when is this required of you to do? This is when your 8.75% or your rate includes fractions, okay? And then you multiply the result by the principal. Ibig sabihin nun, you have to go like this. 8.75% when converted into decimal would be 0.0875. Now you're going to multiply that with your principal for you to get the actual value of your interest, and you will get 481.25. And since the question asks us of how much is the overall pay that Marge will do, you need to add 5,500 with the interest that we were able to compute or calculate. Therefore, the answer is 5,981.25. Okay? But there's also another way, and this is how you do it. This is the shortcut. 5 multiplied by 1.0875, and you will get 5,981.25. So I'm not going to explain why it became 1.0875. Let me really check if you're watching this. So I'm going to wait for your comment down below as to why this specific question requires us to do it this way. Anong reason kung bakit possible itong ganitong paraan? Okay, so I'm gonna wait for that. Let's go to the next question. So Pia borrows 18,500, okay, at the 5 and 7/8% simple interest for 2 years. So how much interest will she pay? So compared to the one before, we need to be aware of how this 2,173.75 pesos came to be. All right? So we're now going to calculate for the simple interest of a loan. It's going to be counted as a loan. Actually, all of pag-uutang natin could be considered as a loan. Okay? So we just need to remember the simple interest formula, which is I, or the interest, is equivalent to the product of the principal, the rate, and the time. Okay? So you just really need to substitute all of the values, plug them in our formula, and we're done. So I is equivalent to PRT, and we are aware that the principal is 18,500, of course. The time is 2 years, and our rate is 5 and 7/8%. Now, for the sake of formality, I will show you how the rate would be converted into decimals. Okay? So your rate is equivalent to 5 and 7/8 all over 100. Okay? We're dividing it by 100 because it's in percent form. So for us to remove it from percent form, we need to divide it by 100. Okay? But before we divide that by 100, we need to convert the 5 and 7/8 into improper fraction. So what happened here is 5 multiplied by the denominator, which is 40. You add the numerator, that's 47, all over the original denominator, 8. Okay, so 47 all over 8 all over 100. You could use your calculator for this part, and you will get 0.05875. Okay, so that's it. Since you already know the rate, here's the time, here's the 18,500, which is your principal. And for us to get the interest, use your calculator, multiply them all together, and you will get 2,173.75. All right, so here's the next question. Jessa deposited a total of 3,412 pesos and 59 centavos at a 5 and 1/4% for 7 months. So how much interest did she earn? All right, the answer here is 104 pesos and 51 centavos. And why is that? Okay, so we're going to compute our interest in terms of months. So the first thing that you need to do is convert the months to years by dividing that by 12, okay? So the explanation for that is because in a year, there are 12 months, and we gotta divide it by 12 months because our rate of time, okay, or our time is, okay, in this problem, it's in months. Use the simple interest formula, and you're also done, okay? So for this part, we have 3,412.59 for your principal. You have 7 months, and your 5 and 1/4 as a rate. Okay, so months over years for your time, that would be equivalent to 7 over 12. And of course, hindi ko na pinakita kung paano 5 and 1/4 came to be. So this is it. Multiply that overall, and you will get 104.51. Here's our next question. Calculate the simple interest due on a 150-day loan of a 120,000 peso principal at a 9.45% simple interest. Okay, so the answer is 4,660 pesos and 27 centavos. And the reason that came to be is because we're gonna go for the exact method. So when we say the exact method, okay, we're going to convert the days to years by dividing by the number of days in the year. Okay, the simplified exact method always uses 365 days per year. Okay, it's called the exact method, but it's also the same as saying that it's calculating the simple interest of a loan that is in days. Okay, there's actually two methods, and the first one is called the exact method because in exact method, we're always going to use 365. So afterwards, you're just going to plug in the values into the I equals PRT, and we're done. Okay, so there we go. As you can see, P stays put, 9.45% became 0.0945, and your 150 days is now divided by 365 because we're going to use the exact method. And once you do that, you will be able to get the 4,660 pesos and 27 centavos simple interest that we are looking for. All right, let's go to the next question. Calculate the simple interest due on a 120-day loan of 10,000 pesos at 8.6% simple interest using the banker's rule. All right. The answer here is 286.67 pesos. Okay, banker's rule. Banker's rule states that instead of using 365 days, you're going to use 360 days. Okay, that's it. So just do that. Instead of dividing 120 in this case by 365, you're going to use 360. As you can see, here's what's going to happen. And of course, when you do that, you will get 286 pesos and 67 centavos. Next. So Joanne borrows 2,000 for 13 weeks at 6 simple interest or 6%. So find the total interest that she will pay. Of course, the answer is 30 pesos. Okay, why is it so small? Of course, you're going to consider the number of days or the time and the interest rate that is considered during the loan. Okay, so in this case, we've done months, we've done days, let's do weeks. So loans with terms in weeks simply means that you need to convert this weeks into years by dividing it by 52. This is because within a year, you have 52 weeks. Afterwards, plug it in our formula like so. There we go. 2,000, 13 over 52, 0.06. Multiply them all together, and of course, you will get the 30 peso answer. Okay, next. How much principal is needed to earn 2,000 simple interest in 4 months at a 5.9% rate? All right. So what we're looking for now is a really huge value. That's 101,694 pesos and 92 centavos. This is because we are now looking for the principal. Okay? So in looking for the principal, you need to substitute the values of I, R, and T into the simple interest formula. And of course, use the balance principle to find P. So you divide both sides of the equation by whatever is multiplied by P. When we say balance principle, it's the same way as saying that we are deriving. Okay? We need to derive the formula for finding P so that we could properly find P. Okay? So we have I is equivalent to PRT, which means that for us to balance this out, we just really need to, our term, remove RT from this side, transfer it to the other side. But what really happens here is you need to divide them both by RT, or the rate and time. This is so that we could cancel out the RT from the PRT, and so P will be isolated on one side. Therefore, we actually balanced it. Okay? There. And of course, plug in the values. We have 2,000 all over 4 over 12. And of course, it's 4 over 12 because it's in months. Baka nakalimutan natin yun. Okay? Once you've done that, you will get 101,694 pesos and 92 centavos. Next, calculate the simple interest rate for a loan of 9,764.55 if the term is 125 days and the total to repay the loan is 10,000. Okay, so the answer here is 7.04%. All right, so in finding the interest rate, in this case, rate naman ang hinahanap natin, again, simply substitute in the simple interest formula and use the balance principle just as when we were finding for the principal. And of course, you need to convert a percent by moving the decimal 2 places to the right. And afterwards, you're gonna round appropriately, and it's usually, we use 2 decimal places. Okay? So I is equivalent to PRT. We're looking for rate, which means we need to divide both sides by PT so that we could cancel out P and T on this side, and so that R could or would remain. Okay? Therefore, R is equivalent to I all over PT. All right. But before we proceed, you could see we have to know the interest first. And for that to happen, we need to first subtract 10,000 or take away 9,764.55 from the existing 10,000. And when we do that, we will get 235.45. And so we could proceed to our existing formula. There we go. So in finding the interest rate, unless indicated, we will always use the exact method. And if we're talking about exact method, this concerns when days are involved in our time. And of course, again, for exact method, it's always going to be 365. Okay? So when we do that, we will get 7.04%. Next. We have, if Irvi borrows 4,800 at a 6 1/4 simple interest, how long will it take before his debt reaches 5,000? Okay, oras naman ang pag-uusapan, 8 months. How? Of course, in finding time, simply substitute into the simple interest formula and use the balance principle, just as when we were finding principal or rate. Okay? So we need to convert the answer to a reasonable time unit. If it won't reach years, we could use months. If we can't use months because it's not convertible into months, let's use weeks. If that's not possible, we could use days. Okay? So, I is equivalent to PRT. We're looking for T. Therefore, we're going to divide them both by PR. Therefore, T is equivalent to I all over PR. Okay? So, I, again, para mahanap natin siya, we need to take away 4,800 from the 5,000 that we're targeting for Irvi to reach if ever na ayaw niyang magbayad ng utang. And I is equivalent to 200. And when we plug in the values, this is it. But when we do it this way, we will get 2/3. We should convert it into proper time unit. So as you can see, if hindi naman siya talaga umabot into whole numbers, it means hindi siya umabot ng taon. Therefore, let's try converting it into months. For 2/3 to be converted into months, let's multiply that by 12. And when we do that, we will get 8 months. And that's a reasonable way of displaying our time. Next question. Find the number of days between April 7, 2003 and September 23, 2003. All right. So that's an exact total of 169 days. So how? So finding the term of a note from its dates within a calendar year. So first one, convert calendar dates to Julian dates using the day of the year table or the abbreviated table. Okay. When we talk about Julian dates, it's also called the ordinal dates. That actually means that we're not going to consider the month and the year of the days. Okay, for example, if we're going to talk about what is the Julian date of February 1, it's 32. It's the 32nd day. Parang ganon. What's the Julian date of January 1? That's 1 because that's the first day of the whole year. Okay? So the next thing that we need to do is, if the year is a leap year, of course, we're going to add 1 to the Julian date if the date falls after February, okay? And then subtract the loan date from the maturity date. So just to be clear, we will know if it's a leap year if the year is divisible by 4. Now, in this case, 2003 is not divisible by 4. Therefore, it's not a leap year. Therefore, this is the example of how we do it. As you can see, January 1 is the first day. February 1 is the 32nd day. March 1 is the 60th day. April 5 is the 95th day. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na Julian dates. Okay? So, now we're gonna look for April 7 and September 23. April 7, there we go. that's 97. And then September 23, as you can see, September, and then go for 23 over here. That's 266. Therefore, ibabawas lang natin yon. April 7 is 97, September 23 is 266, ibawas mo yan, you will get 169. Okay? Next, find the maturity date of a 135-day note signed on March 7, 2005. Okay? So the answer is July 20, 2005. So we're going to find maturity dates within the calendar year. Okay? So first, convert the loan date. So our loan date is March 7, 2005 into a Julian date. And then you add the days in the term. That's 135. And then convert back the result to a calendar date by finding that specific day in the year table. Okay? So again, March 7, 2005 is 66. You're gonna add 135 para malaman mo kailan siya magmamature. Okay? There we go. Add them all together. That's 201. Hahanapin lang uli natin nasan si 201. That's July 20. Of course, it's still within the calendar year. Therefore, it's July 20, 2005. Okay? Next. Find the date of a 200-day note that matures on November 27, 2006. Okay, so in this case naman, we're gonna find out the loan date. It's the reverse in this case. So the answer is May 11, 2006. So, it's still within the calendar year. Convert the loan date to a Julian date, subtract the days in the term, and convert the result to a calendar date by finding it in the day of the year table. Okay? So, November 27, 2006 is the 331st day. Now, ibabawas lang natin yung ating 200. There we go. 131st ang hinahanap natin. Let's go back to our calendar. As we can see, with the 131st day is the 11th day. Okay? May 11th. 11th day of which month? That's May. Therefore, the answer is May 11, 2006. Okay? Next. Find the term of a note dated June 7, 2005 that matures on March 15, 2007. Okay? That's 646 days. All right? So we're going to find terms across multiple years. As you can see, it's 2005 and then 2007. So draw a timeline dividing the term up by calendar years. And then find the number of days of the note's term that fall within each calendar year. And add up the total. And this is how we're going to do it. So we're going to draw a timeline like so. So hinati natin siya into 3 parts. 3 parts because 2005 to 2007 involves 3 years. So in 2005, from June 7, 2005, that's 207 days. Ibig sabihin, mula June 7 papuntang December 31. Within 2006, that's 365 days. And then within 2007, from January 1 to March 15, that's 74 days. Okay? So when we add them all together, we will get 646 days. Next, we're going to find the loan date for a 500-day note that matured on February 26, 2003. So the answer is October 14, 2001. Remember, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay loan date. Kailan mo malalaman if ikaw ay mag-a-add or magsusubtract? If we're looking for the loan date, we're looking for when you signed the loan. If we're looking for the maturity date, we're looking for when will that loan mature. So future. So, how do we get to October 14, 2001? So here it is. You have to draw a timeline dividing the term up by the calendar years. Now work through the portion of the term that falls in each calendar year separately. And then keep a running tally of how much of the term has been accounted for in each calendar year until the full term is used. Ang ibig lang niya sabihin, we're gonna go backtracking and backtracking each year hanggang sa maubos natin yung 500 days, hanggang sa makita natin kailan magfo-fall yung last day of that 500 days. And with that, eto tayo. Here's our timeline. We're gonna divide it like so. Pwede naman din hindi tayo mag-divide. It's up to us. Okay, sa 2003, there's 57 days mula sa February 26 hanggang sa January 1. Alright, sa 2003, we have 57 days. Ibig sabihin, ibawas na natin yung 57 sa 500. Therefore, meron pa tayong iba-backtrack na 443. Medyo konting logic. 443 means halos isang taon pa yung lilipas. Therefore, for the whole of 2002, we will get 365 days. And so, ang matitira is 78. We are not going to look for the 78th day of 2001. Hindi tayo nagsisimula sa January ng 2001, kundi pabalik tayo. Therefore, we need to find the 78th day mula sa December. For us to do that, we simply need to subtract 78 from 365. Meaning, we're gonna look for the 287th day. So, in that 2001, 78 days lang ang lumipas, pero 78 days mula sa 365th day or the December. So, we're just really gonna look for 287 or the 287th day. And when we look for the 287th day based on our calendar, we will see that it will fall on October 14, 2001. Okay, next. Find the simple interest on 2,000 pesos for 2 weeks if the rate is 0.05 per day. Okay, so the answer is 14 pesos. Now, we're talking about non-annual interest rate. For using non-annual interest rates, what you need to remember is you just really need to convert the term into the same time units used by the interest rate. So, ang term kasi natin ay 2 weeks. Ang ating rate ay per day. Okay? So, use the same techniques as with our annual interest rates and that's it. Ibig sabihin, yung 2 weeks natin, kailangan natin again i-convert into days because ang ating rate ay kada araw. So this means 14 times 0.05 times 2,000. Since we're simply going to follow the interest rate formula. And when we do that, we will get 14 pesos. Okay? And for the last one, let's try converting 0.05% per day into an annual simple interest rate. Alright. So the answer is, and the reason behind that, converting between non-annual and annual interest rates. If we're gonna convert to an annual rate, we just simply need to multiply by the number of time units per year. The other one is converting from an annual rate, meaning sa kada taon, i-convert natin siya sa kada buwan, or kada araw, or kada linggo. So for that, we just simply need to divide by the number of time units per year. In this case, we are converting from days to years. So, eto ang kukunin natin. Convert to an annual rate. Okay? So, 1 year is equivalent to 365 days. So, 365 multiplied by 0.05% would be equivalent to 18.25%. So, we're done with the first part, simple interest. We're going to proceed now to preliminaries, the simple discount.